The Chairman and Managing Director of Cucinelli, Mr. Brunello Cucinelli.
Grazie immensamente per
Thank you very much for the invitation. To be honest, enough overwhelmed by emotions. I'm here in a special place, in a special room, in one of the oldest universities of the world. So big round of applause for the oldest university worldwide.
bravi. Il magnifico rettore forse più
Maybe we also have the youngest dean of Italy, and he's also from my region, from Umbria. Congratulations. So I must be honest. Today I would just like to share two thoughts with young students. When the professor was talking from up there, I had the impression I could see Picco della Mirandola that says Magnum miracolo est homo, and then we have Dante, and then we see the great human beings of history, and Erasmus from Rotterdam, who, when he was 50, said, "Oh my God, just let me live 20 more years so that I can experience the golden century." And here we are. Now we are just standing in front of the golden century, and Erasmus has just been there among us. I can't speak English because I haven't studied enough. My English is very basic, so I wouldn't be able to share my real thoughts in English. And so we'll be speaking Italian, and from time to time I will also resort to dialect, the local dialect of Perugia. I don't want to talk about economic crisis. The great values of human beings fell asleep during this crisis, but as Heraclitus said, while things get rest, the world regenerates itself. What is the biggest blunder, the biggest mistake that we as seniors have done in the past vis-a-vis you as the students? We told you very important things. We told you that it is compulsory to be afraid, but you shouldn't be afraid. We told you that maybe we're better than you. And then the most important mistake that we made is that we told you, don't study. You will have a job anyway. You will work anyway. So we said that you started working and then you didn't study enough afterwards. So work was deprived of its moral value. And this is where we need to start from, where we need to resume our trip from. We are experiencing a period of rebirth. The internet has changed the humankind, mankind, but at the same time, big ideals are awakening. Good policies, good families, religion, spirituality. And our Pope asked us to be guardians of human beings. Who am I to judge the others? So we shouldn't indulge in the spirituality of any of us, be they Christians, Muslims, whatever. So this is a period of great rebirth of mankind. And I'm telling you this from the point of view of a person that hasn't really studied a lot in his life. I completed my high school studies back in the 70s, and I didn't certainly pass the final examination of high school with flying colors. I didn't even buy the school books. I attended the University of Perugia for 3 years, and I wasn't really able to pass any exams, so I stopped studying. So my very big piece of advice for you is not to study too much, just study enough, not too much, and just make sure that you dedicate yourselves to human relations and just make sure that you get loved by human beings.
Sapete perché? Perché noi abbiamo bisogno di riscoprire
We need to rediscover the moral dignity and the economic dignity every human being needs. As farmers, my grandfather used to say, let's hope that God sends us enough snow, enough wind, enough sun, enough. That's the right word. And this is where I started to understand what the real meaning of life is. So we really needed to rebalance province with the gifts we've been given. You, as young students, have just started experiencing this. Because once said one marvelous thing. Human beings just needed to solve two big problems. First of all, it's the malaise of the soul, and it means reaching happiness. And the second problem is to make full use of the future and to make full use of what we do. And you, as part of the known consumeristic society, you are special people. I've always thought that we are now experiencing the best phase of mankind. Think of just 30 years ago, how gays and lesbians used to be treated. Now things have changed. Now we are living in a very fascinating world, the best and the most fascinating world we could live in. The internet has arrived, it has completely changed the way in which we work. And for us as Italians, maybe we just had to acknowledge that there is no room whatsoever to produce middle-level, low-level product, because top-level products are what we are expected from the rest of the world. So we need to recreate those working conditions that Rousseau loved. Rousseau was not a tough worker, but he had a very sound idea of work. Human beings can be creative only if everything around you are in peace or at peace with everything surrounding you. So think of the workers, what it means if they can earn €1 more a day, if they are treated in a decent way. And this rumor that the internet has created has led to a malaise of our soul. This is where we need to put an end to this situation. So what do we need to do, especially you as a student? You need to work enough, but not too much. Einstein said that you can only be concentrated 5 hours a day, so you cannot really imagine to be connected to the internet all day long. You can't be connected to the internet during weekends. Our productivity can only be very high if everything melts down in one single thing. Mankind can be governed by science or with science. So this is what we believed in, but this is not possible. Voltaire once said, if you don't accept changes out of your time, then you might take the worst part of it. And I just want to do like Voltaire. But then Rousseau once said, let's put the soul and the heart together, and the brain and the soul together, because everything that starts from the brain goes through the soul, and it will be a great idea in the end. And this is where we need to start from. We need to resume our trip from this fascinating statement of the Emperor Adrianus. I've never met anybody who doesn't feel better after a compliment is made, after this person is being congratulated on. This is true. I spent 10 years in bars, and we discussed about everything, about economy, about coffees, about everything. Let's make one step backwards. And I will be very fast, as Gengis Khan said, but we also need to be very friendly, because the mankind needs good people, well-behaved people. And I think that this is the starting point for us. Socrates said, after death, I think, the ugly will have a harder life than the good ones. And this is how I wanted to live. Once, when San Benedetto said the MBA, to be rigorous and sweet at the same time, a master and a father at the same time. Well, can't we just go back to that situation? Can't we just be rigorous, strict, good people, fatherly people? We really need young people that start believing in the state and the government again. This is where we should start our trip from. And on the one hand, it's true, technology has changed the world, but I would like to make one very interesting announcement. The geniuses of mankind have partially changed the world, but I would like to tell them, get together, put your minds together, and tell us how to use these technologies. Tell us how we and our future generations should use these technologies, just to make sure that they don't create this malaise of the soul. I think that we are now experiencing a new universalism of human beings. The universalism that Charlemagne loved, that Rome, the Roman emperors loved. You're young, so it would be great if you could just be better human beings as of tomorrow, if you could start believing in your own cities, if you could think that it is possible to improve your own city, if your own house is clean, if the door of your house is clean, that your whole city will be clean. This is what we heard back in 1385. So we have to take care of the beauty of a city, because foreigners will appreciate the prosperity and the dignity of the citizens. If just after the first century, and if it is here in this city that students decided to got together and to create the first university, then you immediately understand that this is something just great. You have a dean that is very young, 47 years of age. Max Bergamy is a bit older. Who remembers the story of the Chinese lamp makers? They walked through swamps, through the mountains, by showing the road to those who were following them, because they were very affected. They knew the path, they knew the way. So it would be nice if we could find the new light holders, basically, for the new century, showing us what way we need to take in order to make the best of our life. We had quite a terrible earthquake in our region, but at least in Norcia, no people passed away. The day after the earthquake, I went to talk to Father Cassian, and he almost crying. He told me, we are crying on the ruins of our city, like Saint Benedictus does in his dreams when he imagined that his monastery could be destroyed. But just after that, if Jerusalem gets destroyed by the king of Babylonia, then there is a young child, Baruch, and Baruch he is then given a piece of paper, and that piece of paper in knowledge is the property of a small piece of land. And this is where Jerusalem has to rise again from the ruins, from the ashes. So we really need to start thinking about our future with a 3-year, 30-year time span. Thank you very much.